At the height of his fame, Patrick Swayze was Hollywood's ultimate leading man, a rare mix of rugged charm and gentle soul. From Dirty Dancing to Ghost, he wasn't just an actor. He was an emotion on screen, the kind of man who could make you believe in love, loss, and redemption all at once. But behind that perfect smile and graceful poise was a man quietly fighting a battle that no one could win. When Patrick Swayze was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in 2008, fans around the world were devastated. Doctors gave him only months to live. Yet, true to his spirit, Patrick didn't surrender. He continued working, filming, and inspiring others even as his body grew weaker by the day. He refused pity and instead chose purpose, to live every moment like it was his last dance. As his illness progressed, those closest to him revealed a side of Patrick few ever saw, a man at peace with his fate, but still deeply worried about the people he'd leave behind, especially his wife, Lisa Nemi. His words during those final months weren't bitter or fearful. They were filled with love, hope, and acceptance. What he said before his passing left even the toughest hearts shattered, because Patrick's final message wasn't about death. It was about life. In this emotional story, we uncover his last words, the truth behind his final days, and the unshakable love that carried him through his most painful goodbye. Patrick Wayne Swayze was born on August 18, 1952, in Houston, Texas. From the very beginning, Patrick's life was shaped by passion and discipline. His mother, Patsy Swayze, was a renowned choreographer and dance instructor who pushed him to be his very best, while his father, Jesse Wayne Swayze, taught him about strength and humility. Growing up, Patrick wasn't just a boy with big dreams. He was a performer in the making, with an unmatched determination that would later define his career. Patrick trained in classical ballet, gymnastics, and martial arts, an unusual combination that would one day become his signature. He wasn't afraid of hard work or pain. Every bruise, every fall on the dance floor was a step closer to perfection. That same drive led him to the stage and eventually to Hollywood. But Patrick's early years weren't easy. He struggled to find his footing in an industry that didn't know what to make of a dancer built like an athlete. His big break came in 1987 when he starred as Johnny Castle in Dirty Dancing. The film was a surprise hit, and Patrick's powerful presence and smoldering charm made him an overnight sensation. Suddenly, everyone knew his name. "Nobody puts baby in a corner" became one of the most iconic lines in movie history, and Patrick became a global heartthrob. 2 years later, Roadhouse solidified his reputation as a tough yet soulful leading man, and in 1990, Ghost turned him into a legend. The emotional chemistry between Patrick and Demi Moore melted screens worldwide. Viewers cried, cheered, and fell in love with his portrayal of Sam Wheat, a spirit still fighting for love after death. Ironically, it would be this film that mirrored Patrick's real-life fight years later. Off-screen, Patrick's life seemed picture-perfect. He was married to his childhood sweetheart, Lisa Nemi, whom he met when he was just 18. Their love story was the kind of devotion Hollywood only dreams of writing, filled with laughter, loyalty, and a shared passion for dance and adventure. They were inseparable, soulmates in every sense of the word. But behind the fame and the love story, tragedy quietly lingered. Patrick had always been haunted by the sudden death of his father in 1982, a loss that deeply affected him. To cope, he threw himself into his work, but the pain never truly left. His closest friends later said that his father's death changed something in him forever, that he carried that loss with him, buried deep beneath his charming smile. Then, in early 2008, life dealt him another cruel blow. After complaining of persistent stomach pain, Patrick visited his doctor, and the diagnosis was devastating. Stage 4 pancreatic cancer. Doctors told him he had only a few months left to live. Most people would have withdrawn from the world, but Patrick wasn't most people. He refused to give up. Despite the diagnosis, he continued working on his television series, The Beast, showing up on set even while undergoing chemotherapy. His body grew weaker, but his spirit never faltered. "I don't want to spend the time I have left sitting around being sad," he said. "I want to keep doing what I love." Those around him described him as fearless, still cracking jokes between takes, still dancing with Lisa in their living room, still believing in hope. Even as the pain became unbearable, Patrick's will to live and inspire others only grew stronger. Little did the world know, as his health declined, he was preparing to leave behind something unforgettable, a legacy of courage, love, and words that would move millions to tears. When the diagnosis came in 2008, Patrick Swayze's world changed forever, but he refused to let the disease define him. Most people would have disappeared from public life, but Patrick faced the cameras, the pain, and the fear with remarkable grace. He knew the odds were against him, yet his determination to keep living, to keep being Patrick Swayze, never wavered. From the beginning, his wife Lisa Nemi became his anchor. The two had already endured over 3 decades together, years filled with success, heartbreak, and unconditional love. Now, they were facing the toughest challenge of their lives side by side. Lisa learned how to administer Patrick's medication, monitored his diet, and stayed awake countless nights when the pain wouldn't let him sleep. She later described those months as a dance we never wanted to learn, but one we had to perform together. Patrick's cancer treatments were brutal. Chemotherapy left him weak, nauseated, and exhausted, but he refused to stop working. His television series, The Beast, became both his escape and his mission. He wanted to prove that he was still capable, still alive. Cast and crew members often spoke of his incredible professionalism. Even when he could barely stand, he delivered every line with passion and power. Behind closed doors, however, the battle was much harder. Patrick's weight dropped drastically, and rumors began circulating in tabloids about his condition. But instead of hiding, Patrick confronted the world with honesty. He sat down with Barbara Walters for an emotional interview, speaking openly about his illness. When asked if he was afraid of dying, he simply said, "I want to live. I want to last until they find a cure. I'm not afraid of the road ahead, just sad about leaving the people I love." Those words broke millions of hearts. It wasn't just Patrick's courage that moved people, it was his humanity. He wasn't pretending to be strong. He was strong, even in the face of unbearable suffering. He continued to ride his horses, visit his ranch, and even dance with Lisa whenever he could. He once said, "When I dance with her, I feel like I can still fly." But as the months went on, the disease began to take its toll. Patrick's body weakened, yet his mind remained sharp. Lisa later recalled that even during his worst days, he never stopped being grateful. He would look at her, smile, and whisper, "Every day with you is a gift." Their love during those final months became something sacred, beyond Hollywood, beyond fame. They spent hours talking, reminiscing about the life they built together, the laughter they shared, the struggles they overcame. They spoke about their future, not in years, but in moments. In one of his last interviews, Patrick reflected on life and love, saying, "I've had more love than any man deserves. If this is my time, then I can go, knowing I've lived fully and loved deeply." In September 2009, surrounded by his loved ones at his ranch in Los Angeles, Patrick Swayze took his final breath. He was only 57. Lisa was holding his hand, whispering words of comfort just as she had throughout his life. His final words to her were simple yet profound. "I love you." Those were the same words he had said to her every night for over 30 years. And when he passed, Lisa said she felt his presence linger, as if his spirit was still dancing around her, just like the ending of Ghost. Where love transcends life itself, Patrick Swayze didn't lose his battle to cancer. He won it in the only way that truly matters, by facing death with courage, dignity, and love that will never fade. When the news of Patrick Swayze's passing broke in September 2009, the world was stunned. Fans from every corner of the globe mourned the loss of the actor, dancer, and human being who had inspired generations. Social media erupted with tributes, and news outlets ran endless stories celebrating his career and life. But behind the headlines, the real story was far more intimate. The deep grief of his wife, Lisa Nemi, and the private heartbreak of those closest to him. Lisa, who had shared over 3 decades of her life with Patrick, became the focal point of his memorial. In interviews, she described him not as a Hollywood legend, but as the man she loved every day, the person whose presence made her world whole. She recalled their final moments together, sitting quietly at their ranch, holding hands, and sharing gentle words of love and reassurance. It was in that quiet, personal space that Patrick's final words, "I love you," carried their deepest meaning. Hollywood also came together to honor him. Celebrities, co-stars, and directors shared stories of Patrick's professionalism, kindness, and humility. Demi Moore, his Ghost co-star, called him a man whose heart was bigger than any role he played. Jennifer Grey, his Dirty Dancing co-star, remembered his dedication to craft and the ease with which he could light up a set or a room with his presence. His fellow actors described him as someone who made every project better simply by being part of it. The tributes weren't just about his talent. They were about his humanity. People remembered his generosity, his willingness to mentor young actors, and the way he never let fame change who he was. Fans shared stories of how his movies had shaped their lives, brought them hope, or taught them about love. In living rooms, classrooms, and theaters around the world, Patrick Swayze had left an imprint that could never be erased. Lisa Niemi became the guardian of that legacy. She honored him by keeping his memory alive through charitable work, public interviews, and her own artistic projects. She often spoke about Patrick's philosophy of life, to embrace every day fully, love without hesitation, and face challenges with courage. Through her words, fans could feel the same warmth, humor, and wisdom that Patrick had shared with her for over 30 years. Even a decade after his passing, Patrick's influence remains powerful. Dirty Dancing continues to captivate new generations. Ghost still brings audiences to tears. And his personal story of courage in the face of terminal illness has become a source of inspiration for countless people facing their own battles. Documentaries, biographies, and tributes keep reminding the world that Patrick Swayze was not just an actor, he was a symbol of perseverance, love, and dignity. For those closest to him, his final words are a lasting reminder of the man he truly was. They were simple, heartfelt, and deeply human. I love you. Words that encapsulated a lifetime of devotion, strength, and passion. Words that, even in death, continue to move hearts around the world. Patrick Swayze's life and legacy prove that while fame fades and films end, the love, courage, and humanity we leave behind endure forever. In every dance, every embrace, every whispered, I love you, his spirit lives on, reminding us to cherish the ones we love and to face life's final curtain with grace and courage. After Patrick Swayze's passing in 2009, the world lost a Hollywood icon, but those closest to him gained a lifelong lesson in courage, love, and resilience. Lisa Niemi, his wife of over 34 years, became the living testament to the values Patrick held dear: loyalty, dedication, and the importance of cherishing every moment. For Lisa, life after Patrick was heartbreakingly quiet at first. She spoke openly about the emptiness that followed losing a soulmate, describing how even daily routines felt hollow without his presence. Yet she refused to let grief consume her. Instead, she focused on honoring Patrick's memory through charitable work, the arts, and by sharing the intimate details of their life together. Through interviews and public appearances, Lisa painted a portrait of a man who was not just a star, but a deeply loving, compassionate, and grounded human being. One of the most powerful legacies Patrick left behind was his attitude toward life and death. He faced terminal illness not with despair, but with grace. His final words, simple yet profound, I love you, reflected a lifetime of devotion and emotional honesty. Lisa often shares that these words, spoken in his final moments, continue to guide her decisions and her approach to relationships. Patrick's courage in confronting mortality reminds us all that dignity and love can shine even in the darkest times. Patrick's influence extends far beyond his immediate circle. Fans worldwide continue to find inspiration in his films and life story. Dirty Dancing, Ghost, and his other works are more than entertainment. They are testaments to vulnerability, persistence, and emotional authenticity. Viewers see not only his talent but also his humanity, the blend of strength and tenderness that made him unforgettable. Social media tributes, anniversary posts, and fan letters continue to pour in, showing that his impact endures decades later. In addition, Patrick's approach to illness and mortality has inspired countless people facing their own health battles. He became a symbol of perseverance, showing that even in extreme adversity, one can live fully and lovingly. His journey encourages others to embrace life's moments, to dance, to love, and to speak their hearts before it's too late. Lisa Niemi, too, has embraced this lesson. She continues to live with intention, honoring Patrick's memory by nurturing creativity, teaching dance, and advocating for health awareness. She frequently speaks about the importance of love, patience, and compassion, echoing the principles that guided her and Patrick's marriage. Their story, in many ways, has become a blueprint for enduring love, one that survives fame, tragedy, and even death itself. Patrick Swayze's life ultimately teaches us that true legacy isn't measured by awards, box office numbers, or public acclaim. It's measured by the depth of love we share, the courage we show in adversity, and the inspiration we leave for others. From his iconic performances to his intimate final words, Patrick's story reminds us all to live fully, love deeply, and face life's inevitable endings with grace, even today. Over a decade later, Patrick Swayze continues to move hearts. His life is a testament to the enduring power of love, courage, and authenticity. And though he is no longer physically present, his spirit lives on, in the dances we perform, the relationships we cherish, and the courage we summon in the face of life's greatest challenges. Patrick Swayze's final words, "I love you," are simple, timeless, and eternal. They are a message to the world, a lesson in love, and a reminder that the heart's voice can resonate far beyond a lifetime.